Okay, so I am going to comment on the news story where the Ukrainian gets stabbed in the neck by the black guy. Um, the black guy was crazy and his mental state was not mitigated. The second form of crazy is the media is gaslighting everyone that they can about the right and wrong of the situation. They would like to put forth a world, an image of the world, wherein white people are the only bad people that need to be mitigated. In order to do this, they pretend that other racial groups who do forms of bad or evil, uh, that those stories just don't exist. Okay, it's a media blackout on those stories and on those angles within stories. If there's an aspect of a story that goes against the narrative that white people are the big bad, then they omit that element of the story. This guy happened to be black. He had unmitigated mental problems. Okay. And so we should talk about whether or not people displaying mental instability should be mitigated. We should be talking about that, how they're mitigated. Are the policies related to how they're mitigated actually sane policies? I'm not a proponent of the guy's insanity that led to the murder. And I'm not a proponent of trying to chase down white people in our culture to such a degree that we will ignore the crimes of other people. Maybe it's just not true that white people are as fucked up as you wish white people would be seen. But if they're actually not as fucked up as you wish we would regard them, you're the one with the fucking problem. Nothing justifies the departure from reality. So, emotionally, you could be mad at white people because somehow you've tied white people to some pain that you're experiencing. Another thing about the left is you conflate pain with cruelty. Just because you have a bad day or something that's not pleasant is going on for you doesn't mean that somebody put that on you as a form of cruelty. The left conflates, pain with cruelty. And so they have their bad guys because somebody has to be at fault for the pain that they experience. The problem is, it's crazy when you blame someone who actually did not put that pain on you. What's the craziest is if you put a pain upon yourself or your people put a pain upon you, to blame another group of people when you should be looking inward. Okay. To blame, look, casting blame in the wrong direction, like hot potato, like a game of hot potato, it's just juvenile. It's crazy. It doesn't help you find. Look, I admire BMW. I wouldn't buy a BMW, but I admire the fact that BMW used to buy back all their broken cars because they wanted to know the truth of how they had a structural failure in one of the components of their vehicles. So they would buy back a broken BMW so that they can make the next generation of BMWs sturdier. That is an example of dealing with a painful truth, dealing with a failure in the right way. You look at it the way that it is, learn from it so that you can make an improvement. So if black people are promoting, let's say, some form of social ill, and it's actual reality that some of their culture or policies within their community, our community, um, are detrimental to ourselves or our offspring, how does it benefit us, like BMW, to put a better product out by finding or focusing on the wrong cause or the wrong blame? How does it benefit us to blame white people when the true cause of one of our own social ills was ourselves? Like, if in reality it's us, why can't we deal with it as if it was us? I mean, I'm not talking about skin color. I'm just talking about a scientific approach to making improvements, right? So, how that's like BMW sabotaging other car companies' factories and going out and causing other car companies their product to crash because they don't want to deal with the improvements that they should be making. Now, why would people do that? Because of emotional instability. The emotional instability doesn't allow you to suffer the disgrace of a failure, as if you didn't learn how to deal with failure. Like you didn't, what do you think? There's some group of people that doesn't deal with failure on this planet? That there's some people that go from cradle to grave without ever getting some shit wrong? Like, you want to be one of those people who are not attached to mistakes? Grow the fuck up. Stop this shit. Okay, stop this shit. Listen, if you wanted to be crazy, you could be put on a desert island, but you make babies. Have some pity for your children. Don't raise our black young men and women to believe that the white man is the devil when you should be telling them how to be better than their previous generation and so forth and so on, and reach a standard at some point in the future where who knows, maybe we could really rival some other racial and cultural groups in our outcomes, you know. But the delusion that all the power was in white people's hands and we had no power, how's that empowering us? No, what empowers us, like the BMW company, is to admit where your fault is and to be interested in finding where you're at fault and reasonably mitigate those weaknesses. Okay? That is reality. Let me tell you something. It feels bad to wrestle with a weakness. Okay? Don't escape the bad feeling. You are putting in a layer of insanity in our community by not wanting to admit that which is painful, that we may have made a mistake. And I'll tell you this statistically. Any population that engages in free sex or hypersexual culture will inevitably experience higher degrees of teen pregnancy, higher degrees of juvenile delinquency, and higher degrees of mental instability. Why? Because hypersexuality lends itself to fatherlessness, and fatherlessness lends itself to those social ills. These are facts. You could play games, but, and it is painful, man the fuck up, deal with the pain, change the fucking culture in the black community. This was a black guy who stabbed a girl. I don't care that she was Ukrainian. I don't care that this is a sob story about her being Ukrainian. I am talking about reducing the likelihood that our population produces people that are not fit for society because of developmental deficiencies. The biggest developmental weakening thing is fatherlessness. Fatherlessness comes from a lack of commitment, and a lack of commitment is more likely when you're having sex with somebody you didn't give a fuck about. Okay? Or when you were having sex with some crazy person that was unvetted. You should not have put your sperm in that vessel. Okay? Your inability to figure that out is actually detrimental to the future generation. Okay? So if we lock in and have children with a better attitude, which means having sex with more wisdom, we would stop putting out people like this guy who stabbed this woman. Okay, it would go down. The likelihood that our community is putting that out there would go down. Okay, you were not lied to today. If your attention span couldn't handle, these few minutes, I don't know what to tell you.